Big news. Big news this week. Big news happened like right before, like hours before we started recording. That's why everything's gonna seem so, so jumbled up, out of place, because literally the plan we have for the show just got dinosaur meteored by some major news. But more important than anything that could happen in wrestling, Darnell really powered through this episode, and Darnell is going to dedicate this episode to a very special person from our city of Jacksonville, Isaiah Bing. This episode's for him, and hopefully it's one that he would have enjoyed. So sit back, relax, pop on a YouTube video, grab a snack, and please enjoy this week's edition of the Playmakers Blog Podcast, Wrestling Edition. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'm gonna just be honest with you. I'm gonna level with everybody here. We're gonna take a completely different turn than I thought we would when I woke up this morning. But first, to the left of me, as always, is Darnell, the Playmaker Solins. How are you doing this surprising morning, Darnell?
I'm all right.
Yeah, well, we're like Baptist preachers. We're not going to take up too much of your time because, we'll get through it how we get through it. Darnell, the news. The news, I'm sure everybody has heard by now. It was on Sports Illustrated. It's been on all the major dirt sheets. It's been on ESPN, of all places. Eric Bischoff is going to be the executive director of SmackDown, and Paul Heyman is going to be the executive director of Raw. It is essentially 2004, but they flipped it. What are your initial thoughts?
Last effort taken by Vince McMahon. Of course, I was saying Stomping Ground had low attendance. This past 10,000 had low attendance. So obviously, a change must be taking place. I guess Vince felt, let me get two guys who've done this business before, who have done success in this business before, and let's see if we can rekindle something.
Yeah, like off the rip, before we go into extreme detail, I kind of sort of have a similar thing. 10,000 pay-per-view buys. That is, I'm not going to go as far to say that's independent numbers, because we have to get into this mindset that Impact, a New Japan, a AAA, those aren't independents. They have major parent companies. They have people with a lot of money backing them. They are not running on Saturdays and Sundays because everybody has day jobs. But 10,000 to be a professional wrestling promotion in the United States, to be the biggest professional wrestling promotion in the United States, 10,000 pay-per-view buys. If you add that to the people that actually came, you're not even halfway to what it was like in the 70s when you had regional television and regional promotions. The one guy that worked in Memphis that never touched the one guy that worked in California, they were making bigger shows and bigger houses than what Stomping Grounds did. And people in California didn't even know they existed. That is huge in the wrong way. For them to have such a low pay-per-view buy number, and for this whole 2 out of 3 falls thing, because Vince doesn't want wrestling during commercials. The fact that Vince McMahon is doing yet another thing that he's just coming up with and wants to implement immediately. Like we're test driving ideas on live TV. 2 of the biggest brands in sports. Let's just call it how it is. There's Monday Night Football. There's NBA on TNT. There's Monday Night Raw. There's SmackDown. There's there's brands in sports where it's like, oh, I've heard that.
There's another news that came out. That might have slipped some people's mind. We actually have a date for when Fox is going to launch SmackDown Live.
Oh, what is that date?
October 4th.
Oh, wow. I thought it was going to be mid-October. Jeez. So that means that basically the SummerSlam push basically the SummerSlam push, which explains even more. So let me add to my original take then. October 4th is basically saying, as soon as the summer is over, you better have something for me. You better have my money.
It's pretty much like this. How Fox got their lineup set, you get your reality shows, your shows that you like to watch almost every day, and then they gonna end the week, Thursday night football, Friday night SmackDown.
That's wild, but it's I mean, that was pretty much what we thought because we knew it was gonna be on Friday. But it's the date. It's the fact that it's early October. We're talking first week of October. SummerSlam is the last weekend of August. What you're basically saying is September's pay-per-view is going to be the hurrah. It's going to be the pre-party. It's going to be the album listening party. Whatever the pay-per-view is in September, Fox fans, Fox watchers, the executives, like that's basically going to be, all right, this is the album before we release it. This is what you're going to get. This is what we're putting out into the marketplace. Like, dude, you got to think, man. Extreme Rules, very few feuds, if any, are going to end at Extreme Rules. If anything, Extreme Rules, something major is going to happen in every storyline to where SummerSlam is going to be the coup de grace. Because then you're starting to work towards Survivor Series. And then we all know after Survivor Series, well, we're back to the road to WrestleMania, which is a whole nother thing because this is basically just a news day, guys. This isn't going to be much recapping. The only way we're going to recap something is if it relates to the news that came out. But, dude, October 4th, that is wow. So digging deeper.
Now we got to recap some stuff.
Like I said, we'll recap as it goes to the news, trust me.
I have to be honest. Stomping Ground was not that bad.
It wasn't, which is why the 10,000 pay-per-view buys. Okay, well, segue.
Have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? It's a long process. It's a hard, thought-out process. Yeah, I know. I was there. From March of this year, thinking about how I'm going to do this, doing all my research, trying to get everything right. What platforms can we use and how we going to record it and how we going to make it sound good and make it all this happen. And then I came upon Anchor. The Anchor app on my phone, the easiest choice I could ever make to do a podcast. It's free to use. You don't got to pay for nothing. You can record episodes whenever you're ready. You can edit it and then you can release them when you want to. And you don't have to worry about trying to figure out how you're going to distribute it on other platforms because Anchor has partnerships with Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Breaker, Castbox, Pocket Cast, whatever you name it. Because the Playmakers Bar podcast is the podcast that I use. We're on all them platforms. We're on 9 platforms just by using the Anchor app. So pretty much all the questions that you have questions about doing a podcast, go to the Anchor app or go to the Anchor website, anchor.fm.com, and just search through it, ask questions. Because I tell you, a free app that does all this, there's nothing more you can ask for. I even got friends, they doing their podcast on the Anchor app. Faith Talk, you might have heard of it because it's very good. And it's great that it's an app like this, it's a website like this that makes it easier for people to do podcasts and do what they love best, talking about the things that they love to talk about. So give Anchor a try, see how much you like it. We'll love to hear your podcast.
Since you drove it there, segue. 10,000 pay-per-view buys for a pay-per-view that honestly wasn't that bad. The first half was good. The second half was debatable, but the first half was good. And when you actually put out something decent, when you actually put out something where it's like, okay, there's some guys on Twitter who are just going to hate. That's what they're going to do. There is always something wrong with WWE. They want Kofi and Becky as champion. Now they're bored with Kofi and Becky, blah, 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 blah. Dude, the first half wasn't bad. In fact, I would argue to say most of the pay-per-view up until the main event when it just got too obvious and just too insulting to the fans' intelligence was at least B-.
I'm gonna be honest. what Baron Corbin did, I don't think people didn't think of that. And that was very smart of him, though.
I mean, and it made sense because it's like, dang, who can't Seth hit with a chair? And before going deeper into that kind of goes to like the Darnell. Besides the main event, you had low attendance. You had low pay-per-view buys. It was literally the fan base starting to show that they're giving up. Vince McMahon, while Eric Bischoff and Paul Heyman are going to directly answer to him, Eric Bischoff didn't have a role. Paul Heyman did. Paul Heyman's been with the company in a backstage role when he's not doing Brock Lesnar stuff. In fact, he does way more backstage stuff than he does Brock Lesnar stuff. But Eric Bischoff was completely living his best life. Eric Bischoff would not come back unless he is given significant power. Also, it is very significant that he is on the quote-unquote B show, which is SmackDown. It is significant that he's on the show that, when you think about it, everybody who's good on SmackDown eventually goes to Raw. Going from SmackDown to Raw has always been viewed as a promotion. So for Eric Bischoff to get that show after being out of the company for years, he has to have some kind of creative power. He may report to Vince McMahon. He may answer to Vince McMahon in some sections, but I don't think you bring back Eric Bischoff fresh from absolutely no wrestling role whatsoever after having a pay-per-view with 10,000 buys. And you basically do the same old Vince McMahon stuff.
I want to know how all this came about.
Well, dude, that's the thing. I mean, and that's what I was talking about earlier. Let's talk about it. Finn Balor wasn't on the show. The Raw Tag Team Championships. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, after being featured in those weird matches and being featured heavily, not heavily this week, they were on Raw, and they still lost on Raw. But I mean, we got Daniel Bryan and Eric Rowan going against Heavy Machinery, but we don't have Raw Tag Team Champions. We have everybody from both brands going after SmackDown, but we don't have anybody going after the Raw Tag Team Champions. We have Finn Balor coming off of a win as the Demon, and him and Andrade are on the show. I mean, there were titles missing. There was an obvious main event. It's almost like as soon as you heard that the Universal Championship was going on last, it was kind of sort of that thing where it's like, well, at least we get to see the good stuff first. Going in, there was a lot of skepticism. So it's like,
the thing was, I think everybody wanted to know who's going to be the referee, though.
But at the same time, it's like, dude, it's still Baron Corbin.
It's still Baron Corbin, but like, who's going to be the referee, though? It's because Seth Rollins is whooping everybody with this steel chair. So who's going to be next in line?
But that's the thing. Like, it's Baron Corbin. And that makes me wonder the question that you just asked. How long did the negotiation phase take place? Paul Heyman, maybe this was an under-the-table thing. Maybe this is something they were throwing against the wall. But Eric Bischoff, like I said, Eric Bischoff had no backstage role with the company. Eric Bischoff was not there as of Stomping Grounds. Now he's in the company in an executive role, a full-time executive role. You go from pushing the Baron Corbin thing, pushing the Shane McMahon thing, not following up on a Demon appearance, not having Bray Wyatt debut, having Dolph Ziggler lose yet another feud that we know he's going to lose. You have all these things where despite the matches that took place, despite the talent putting on a good show with what they were given, you basically had the culmination. You keep putting out the same stuff. You keep being inconsistent with the good stuff, but want to be consistent with the terrible stuff. The fans are going to get tired.
And you separate me perfectly to begin this recap phase because those that was aware on Twitter that y'all did not hear from the Playmakers Blog podcast on Twitter Sunday. There's two reasons behind that. One, Dallas was working his butt off to get his track team to move forward into regionals, or is it nationals?
It was nationals.
Nationals. And I had an unfortunate tragedy happen. So from this point forward, this episode is going to be dedicated to my best friend, Isaiah Bean, because when I did watch Stomping Grounds. I realized it wasn't that bad, and something amazing happened. But to start off, as we both predicted, the Cruiserweight Championship match, Drew Gulak is the champion.
Makes sense, because from the creative point, which is even more interesting because 205 Live began as an offset of Raw, but now it's its own thing. So, but with the pattern of 205 Live, babyface reign got boring. Two babyfaces were in the match. The heel walked out. They kept Tony Nese strong. So even with that, it's like, okay, this is pretty much cookie cutter. Somebody who's never done a wrist lock pretty much can see exactly what was going to happen and what you did.
Those two will face off at Extreme Rules, from what I've been hearing. So that might be a kickoff match. I also predicted very well. The Planet's Tag Team Champion, as Corey Graves would say, retained their title over Heavy Machinery.
Mm-hmm.
And it went exactly as I said it would. They get the crowd up. Here comes Heavy Machinery, and they're going to put a rub from under you.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much how the heel tag team matches go whenever the heel team is about to defend.
Kudos to Dallas because New Day lost to Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn.
It's weird because I predicted it, but when it happened, I was like, this makes sense, I think. Then once Raw and SmackDown happened, it didn't make sense.
Bayley defeated Alexa Bliss thanks to Nikki Cross.
Mm-hmm.
But Nikki Cross bounced herself back on Tuesday night, and now Alexa Bliss has another shot at Extreme Rules.
You heard that right, people. Don't pause and think that no, Nikki Cross won a match, and Alexa Bliss is getting the title shot. You heard that correctly.
The match that kicked off Stomping Ground, the man Becky Lynch beat the Southern Belle Lacey Evans. And as you heard earlier, that won't be the last time we heard from Lacey Evans. Dallas, shocker of the shocker of the pay-per-view. And this is where my best friend comes into play because, Isaiah, he was a John Cena fan, but John Cena was tiring, so he had to, you got to find somebody else, right?
Mm-hmm.
The person who he found was Ricochet.
Mm.
We both predicted that Samoa Joe will win, but lo and behold, Ricochet is the United States champion.
I mean, that right there, after seeing TV the next night, for Samoa Joe, it made a lot of sense. I'm not sure if we said this. We probably didn't because we were pretty much sure that Samoa Joe was going to win. But now in the aftermath, it makes sense because Joe was a main event player on SmackDown. And him being in the U.S. title picture on Raw, if you really look at the timing of the Superstar shakeup, the main event picture was packed. It was packed, and from the green light, there were those two triple threat matches to find a number one contender, and AJ Styles ended up winning that miniature tournament. At the time, though, Joe was a champion. So it's one of those things where it's like, we got to keep him relevant and get through all this stuff first. So now that the dust is cleared and both world champions need somebody, they put him with one. It's confusing why they put him with that particular one. But then again, with Brock Lesnar looming, kind of hard to have bad guys go after Seth Rollins that aren't named Baron Corbin. Ricochet's half, on the other hand, 50-50 booking. Even when you just win a belt, Darnell, 50-50 booking. This is going to start being one of my new themes. If you ever want to figure out what 50-50 booking is, if you're new to wrestling Twitter, if you're new to wrestling coverage and all that good stuff, and you keep saying, what's 50-50 booking? What's 50-50 booking? What is this? Does it even exist? Ricochet. You're going to open up the wrestling dictionary, and you're going to see a picture of Ricochet holding up the United States Championship. Because the next night he lost to AJ Styles.
Now, my thing is with that, how do you go from there? Like,
Ricochet went.
AJ Styles that's come back from injury. He's finally back in the ring. We know what AJ Styles is. Ricochet just won his first ever title in the WWE main roster. Where do we go? Where do we go? How do we make this work?
It's even weirder because it's like, okay, so we're doing exactly what we did in 2016 with the beat up John Cena angle, where Good Brothers are basically funny heels, and AJ Styles is the good guy telling them not to interfere in his matches. Like this, we've literally seen this before. This is how they got together the first time. You know, they are friends. They were in the group at the same time in Japan. Sometimes it can be, hey, we're on the same brand. I'm not doing nothing. You're not doing anything. Let's F some stuff up. But no, they got to do the weird, we're bad guys, but you're a good guy, but we're friends. So, yeah, doesn't work. Yeah, like, it's dumb. So AJ Styles telling them not to interfere, then winning the match. No. If you're going to be cookie cutter WWE and do all the old school like storylines, he tells them not to interfere, then he loses because he should have let them interfere. And then they say, ha ha, I told you so. And then they realize they're better together. You can't have superior AJ Styles just beat a guy who just won his first championship. He just beat Samoa Joe and he hit his finisher. Like, how is he losing the next night?
They have a lot of angles to cover in this one. I don't know, this storyline is actually about the Good Brothers and AJ Styles, or it's going to be about AJ Styles and Ricochet, or all everybody involved.
And this is why I was going to go light on the recap, because dude, like, think about it. Like, really think about it. Look at the Paul Heyman, Brock Lesnar, Seth Rollins storyline right now. Look at how somehow, some way, they were able to convince Brock to do 5 different TV things. Look at the way that they were able to actually sell Brock, not knowing that he had an entire year. And now he's just lurking. Because, of course, he's not going to be on TV every week. Look at the way that Paul Heyman has been able to carry feuds and storylines. Now you tell me that Paul Heyman is overall. But he's not going to be overworked. He's not going to be overstretched because it's only Eric Bischoff handling SmackDown. It's only the guy that, like, 83 weeks straight beat down Vince McMahon with. And it's interesting, with a product that Vince McMahon was probably trying to do himself. Eric Bischoff didn't go the raunchy route. Eric Bischoff helped introduce Cruiserweight Wrestling to the United States. Eric Bischoff's women's division was way better than WWE's women's division at the time. Shoot, like, if you wanted PG entertainment, if you were going to just randomly have the TV on while your mom was walking into your room to talk to you, you know, those awkward talks where it's like, you know, you're watching something you're not supposed to be watching, and you know that she's just going to keep talking and talking and talking until something happens. I would have rather had WCW on than WWE. And that product was winning. That guy is handling SmackDown. He's getting to focus on one show. They're not bleeding into NXT. They're not bleeding into NXT UK. They're not bleeding into 205 Live.
Oh, we're going to get to NXT.
But dude, think about it. Like, really think about it real quick. Are they going to do this just for the sake of it's already started? Are they really about to just rip up the scripts and really get some ratings in? Because with the 50-50 booking with Ricochet, with the whole Baron Corbin thing, with just everything and how everything is.
Now, if you'll allow me to continue on that point, because when we talked about Becky Lynch obviously retaining her title, her boyfriend main event, as you already know, Baron Corbin, and Lacey Evans referee, you know, you can pretty much think about what happened. I mean, you picked Lacey Evans to be the referee. She just lost to your girlfriend the first match of the night. So you already know what's on the agenda. Becky comes out, evens the odds. Seth Rollins retains the title. Now we have a mixed tag team match they'll most likely be main eventing Extreme Rules. With both the Raw Women's Championship and the Universal Championship both on the line, and is a winner-take-all match.
I'm very curious to see how Paul Heyman works with that. Right now, his world champion got saved by the women's champion. The world champion would have been in dire straits if the women's champion, his girlfriend, didn't come out to save him. The world champion needs to be saved by the women's champion. ECW was definitely not what you want to have on the TV when your mom was walking in the room. But I mean, bruh, out of all three, the women in ECW were definitely doing stuff that was way ahead of their time. And I don't even think Paul Heyman would think to himself, the world champion needs to be saved in a main event match by the women's champion. That's one of those things where it's like, brother, you just did the best pro wrestling in the world tweet and just crapped on a lot of people who are having like 5-star and 5.25-star matches. Dude, they just had you get saved on the playground by your girlfriend. Like, that.
Well, she said it paid to be the man's man.
Dude, like, granted, disclaimer. I've said everything I've said. I've said that this isn't the men's era. I've said this is the women's era. I've said everything about it's not about men's wrestling, blah, blah, blah. You're watching her. Dude, when she said it pays to be the man's man to the Raw World Heavyweight Champion as the women's champion, that right there was just like, okay, the brand split doesn't exist, and the world champion of Raw is the beta. That's cool, it's 2019 and everything. It's just that guy 24 hours ago just said he is the top guy of the best pro wrestling promotion on the planet. And then you repay him by doing this. He tried to do you a solid, and then, yeah.
And then Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre.
And that's another thing where I was going to.
Surprise happened the night after.
Yeah, and that's why I was going to bleed in news with recap. Drew McIntyre is the handpicked opponent by Undertaker, apparently, for WrestleMania 36.
Oh, he's at SummerSlam.
No, you don't understand. Undertaker has handpicked Drew for his opponent at WrestleMania. So however they get to that point is cool, but they got to get to that point because Drew is still stuck in Shame's Omni Vortex or whatever
So pretty much what I said last week stands.
What'd you say last week?
You was afraid if Drew McIntyre lost, it would cut him down. I say no, it won't.
No. Finish what the rest of you said, because you did not predict no damn wrestling Undertaker at WrestleMania.
No Undertaker, but I said because there were rumors about somebody being the next WWE champion. I'm like, how he gonna get there?
Dude, you said he was gonna be Shane McMahon's Diesel. Diesel did not win the WWE championship when he was with Shawn Michaels. He won it after he was with Shawn Michaels.
No, remember I said rumors were circling about somebody being the next WWE champion. I said, how is he going to get that?
By losing to Roman at a pay-per-view?
Because you were like, if Drew loses, this is going to hurt. I said, no, it won't. Drew McIntyre, he'll be all right. He'll be good.
Because he's going to be Shane McMahon's Diesel.
Yes.
And after Diesel was Shane McMahon's enforcer, he went on to do good things. But Darnell, don't do that. Don't do that, because we literally recorded it. People can go back. We did not connect the dots to say he would be the heel to beat Kofi to lose to Roman. Clearly that was not the case, because Undertaker said, I want him, and Creative said, okay. Dude, if they had him pegged to be the heel to beat Kofi to lose to Roman at WrestleMania, if it was supposed to work out at that level, Undertaker would not have been able to walk in and say, I want a non-title spectacle match at WrestleMania months after I had the Goldberg match.
This is even better.
Wrestling Undertaker at this point at WrestleMania is better than being WWE champion. I just want you to say that out loud.
Well, no one say why this is better.
Why?
Now, to the point that you was making, the Roman Reigns loss in a way, it doesn't look good for Roman Reigns.
Please go on.
Because out of all the people, we knew you were gonna get in the handicap match, and we knew what was gonna happen. But out of all the people that save you, it's the guy you took the yard from. Out of all, just 2 years ago at WrestleMania, you speared this man 3 times. 2 years later, he saves you from a coast to coast. And then he handpicking now from what is being reported, he handpicking Drew McIntyre as the next WrestleMania opponent. Undertaker just don't pick nobody. Now that Paul Heyman's going to be in charge of Raw, maybe now we get this. Now we maybe start to build the Drew McIntyre we've been waiting for.
Man. It's a hell of a way you spun that, because after saying all of that, all I can still think to myself is, damn, out of all 3 members of the Shield, Seth is the top guy in Raw, and he just got saved by his girlfriend in the main event of a pay-per-view. Dude, this is why I wanted to go live in the recap, because I'm going to be honest with you, I feel like a lot of this is just going to be undone.
Maybe.
I feel like I am not going to get mentally invested in these storylines. If anything, they're going to transition into their roles in real life. They're going to get settled with things. Eric Bischoff's going to come back into the fold, get used to the road schedule, blah, 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 blah. This pay-per-view probably happens as it's being developed because they need to see what they got, need to be acclimated with this kind of control and this kind of role. But, bruh, I just find it hard to believe that this, with two ECW and WCW's heads, the guys who will forever be associated with those promotions and brands, they both have their own show. The first thing, I'm just going to stop being invested in this damn Rock Hard Rule, because I find it extremely hard to believe that Eric Bischoff and Paul Heyman are going to seriously be think tanking and think to themselves, hey, this guy that I'm building on my show, I'm going to let him go on your show. And you're going to let your guy go on my show.
But maybe to go back to the reason why this is bad for Roman Reigns. He wasn't even on SmackDown. If I'm correct, which brand he's actually supposed to be on?
He's supposed to be a SmackDown superstar.
But he was on Raw getting his ass whooped. Undertaker saved him, and then he didn't show up for SmackDown.
To drive your point home even more, didn't Elias get a win this week?
Exactly. They did the same thing they were trying to do to Roman Reigns. They did it to The Miz. Where's Roman Reigns?
Where's Roman for the save?
When Shane McMahon made that promo and said, do not get on my bad side, I was like, I hope Roman Reigns is there. And this would be a great way to continue this feud. Nah, we used The Miz. And The Miz got his ass whooped.
Toasted.
No backup, no nothing.
Nada.
That's babyface Miz down in the dumps.
Hate to see it.
It brings me to one match that I didn't get to from Stomping Ground. And I saved that last for a reason. Kofi, that was a steel cage match. Now, before I get into this match, I just have to say, at some point, they need to do something with Dolph Ziggler. Team with Dolph Ziggler.
The problem is he's too good. You didn't see that one interview where he basically said a legend told him, I can't remember which legend, but there was an interview where Dolph said himself, a legend told him to stop selling so well, because if you keep selling so well, all they're going to make you do is make other people look good. He didn't listen.
Anyway, I got to the stage match because I'm going to marry this with the NXT. Kofi Kingston won the steel cage match in a way I don't think nobody seen coming. Now, we saw Shane McMahon beat The Miz in the steel cage match. That's simply like it's getting out of his shirt. Like, you lucky. How lucky can you get? What Kobe did, Kobe said, I'm putting it all on the line, and he dove out the cage. While half a Dolph Ziggler's body was already out the cage. And then he goes on a Monday Night Raw, beats Sami Zayn in the match. Beats Kevin Owens in the match via a disqualification, which is, I hope Kevin Owens is got the cartwheels out his head about now, because that was painful to watch. Then he gets attacked by Samoa Joe. Shows up on Tuesday, his actual show, and beats Dolph Ziggler in 2 out of 3 falls match to keep Dolph Ziggler out of the championship match between him and Samoa Joe at Extreme Rules. Take on my side with Corey Graves and like, y'all working Kofi way too much for my liking.
Okay, now how are you going to tie this with Io Shirai?
Now we get to a women's cage match on NXT. The queen of NXT puts her title on the line against Io Shirai yet again. All right, we're going to see how this goes. As you know, the horsewomen come out to try to help keep Io Shirai from winning the title. Candice LeRae comes out, helps Io Shirai. I dive off the top of the steel cage by Candice LeRae, which is a person. And then Io Shirai decides to do a moonsault without even looking at Shayna Baszler, which is impressive. Io Shirai is trying to get out the door. Shayna Baszler puts the hold on her. Io Shirai smartly uses the cage door and bangs Shayna's head in. Shayna Baszler just falls out the ring in the cage. You literally had 2 cage matches in WWE, and you are stunned by the finish. You just like, you can't say nothing. If there's one good thing this week WWE has done, they have provided some steel cage matches that you are not going to forget.
Some of you may scoff at that, but I mean, think about it. The steel cage match is like one of the oldest spectacle matches ever, and WWE actually found a way to like do something different.
Twice. One dude, he just took a leap of faith out the ring and it worked. For us, the women, she got her head banged in and she just happened to fall out.
Mm-hmm.
She probably still don't know what happened to her and why she still got the title right now.
Well,
never seen nothing like it.
This is true. Also, you got to remember, similar to Dolph Ziggler's This Is Me, Io Shirai basically took it all out on poor Candice.
Heel turn.
Yup. Most definitely. No way to go back from that. No way to say sorry.
Nah, she pulled a Seth Rollins on Candice LeRae.
Yeah, that right there, because, and let's be honest, folks, I mean, Io Shirai, I think that was her trifecta of losses, so that's probably what we're going to be seeing with her and Candice for a while, but, again, it goes without saying, those two, if you know what they did pre-WWE, you're not going to be upset with that. Nobody would be upset with that.
But I have to give props to WWE on the cage matches. Very, very great work.
Oh, yeah.
Especially for that cage match in NXT to be like a regular, just like a show. That's something that's the type of ending you should have on a pay-per-view. And have people waiting for the very next night to watch to see how this going to unfold now.
Yes. I agree. So, as we enter the cooldown phase, Darnell, we're going to do a quick over-under. Are you ready?
Let's go.
Over-under the 27. It's not the Hardcore Championship. It's not the cousin of the Hardcore Championship.
I know exactly where you're going with this. I've seen it on Facebook.
Brother, over-under 27 championship reigns before it's all said and done for R-Truth.
I want to say under, with the fact that we have Paul Heyman, Eric Bischoff in lead roles now, they might change that up. He's already at 8, so we talking about 19 more.
That, and I mean, if we start having serious reigns, and we have storylines now, but I mean, making it feel more like a more traditional championship, is he going to have time to get 27? I don't really see this belt sticking around. People, it's weird to think. It had over 230 champions, but the hardcore belt was only active for 4 years. So it's not going to get a lot of time. What?
I got to go under. I don't see it.
Yeah, like, before this major announcement, the WWE 24/7 Championship was like one of the biggest things on Raw. Now that we actually have people who competed with WWE and made the industry in the United States boom, it ain't going to get as much focus. It's definitely not going to get as much focus. Right now, it's pretty much been a crutch. When there's like a flat ending to a serious segment, you just queue up the 24/7 Championship. Now, though, it's going to be way more compelling television. So they'll fit it in on social media, of course. It'll definitely still be a social media thing. But how often is it going to get on TV? And that thing where they had 5 different champions in one segment and it ended with Truth having the belt back, that's definitely probably going to stop.
Hey, at least Hasty got him a title reign.
Yeah, Cedric Alexander, he got him an open weight title reign. And, not pegged down to the cruiserweight division no more. Good for him. But with that, we've reached the point, Darnell. That point we reach every week. Is there anything you'd like to say? Could be wrestling, could be non-wrestling.
It's non-wrestling. My best friend was murdered this past weekend. Somebody else. There's a lot of shootings going on back in home. And Dallas, you ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
We've been in 2019 for 6 months, about to be 7.
Mm-hmm.
There's already been 60 murders in Jacksonville already. That's averaged out to 10 murders a month.
Pretty much. Basically.
So we talking about home is on course for at least 120.
Yeah.
Look, this weekend I gotta do what I gotta do. Send my best friend out the way he would like to be out. I wasn't gonna do this episode, but I decided to do it because I know my best friend, he was a wrestling fan. He loved wrestling. He was a John Cena fan. He had the gear and everything, the hat, the shirt, the towel, you name it, he had it. The dog tag, he had it. And when he knew John Cena was retiring, he went to Ricochet. Ricochet won his first title the day after I got the news that my friend was murdered. It's crazy how this world is being more corrupted every day. Because people don't think no more. They just react. If you was to go on my Facebook page or go on Facebook and type in Isaiah Bean, you can see how painful about half of the city of Jacksonville is hurting. Because Dallas, I'm going to put it to you like this. You know me. You know me from since what? Me being 11th grade at Stanton.
Yeah.
You know what kind of heart I got.
Mm-hmm.
His heart was more pure and golden than mine.
Damn.
So that tells you what kind of person what was taken away from this earth. We see all the murders and stuff, but y'all not seeing the people that y'all taking. People from my 8th grade class, I know him for 13 years. People from my 8th grade middle school class at Reebok Middle are are angry, upset because they knew what kind of person he was. And it's crazy that so many people like Isaiah are being taken away because they help. They love helping. And it shouldn't be that way. The good ones should not have to go out the way that he went out, when all they want to do is change the world. And I'm going to end it like that.
Well, nothing else needs to be said. See y'all next week.